Thank you very much, Prof. You know, when Prof and I were growing up, when Prof and I were growing up, I knew he was a bright chap. And he would do great things. And the problem of when you do great things, you see, he grew old, and I didn't. So, Professor, it's very nice to have you, and it's nice that you've been part of the Equity Week conversations from 2016, and we are happy to have you here. But that for me was to also celebrate you as colleagues also did sometime early this week. So the program today is part of events that we've been having the whole week. And it's important for me to highlight that on Monday we were in Busia, on Wednesday we were in Baringo County, and in both of those counties we were having discussions that were a bit more regional than just the host counties. And the final event for this Equity Week for 2019 is being held in Nairobi for a more national conversation. So the conversations in Baringo and Busia were more regional, but the conversation in Nairobi will give us an opportunity to draw back a little bit and see how are things looking like from a national perspective. And so, as you will notice in the program that you have, is that we are going to have a session that is going to start in the morning with a keynote speech from the Commission on Revenue Allocation. I think their role in the equity space cannot be overemphasized. It's really, really critical, and they lead a lot of the conversations that we will be having today. So Commissioner Fauzia is here with us today, and she will be leading us in that part. We'll also have to think a little bit about the conversations on public participation and how that has been an enabler, or where areas where it's contributed in ways that we can see need improvement when it comes to equity. And public participation is at the center of the objectives of why we devolved. The belief that is well documented on why it's important to have citizens owning the conversations of how resources are spent, how distribution is done, is something that we have to keep coming back to as Kenyans, and to see, is it playing out a presentation in partnership around how we can think continuously on how to improve public engagement, and especially with lessons that we've seen from some of the counties, as you know, we've had quite a number of years with the devolution. But the practice and the engagements that we have as different actors in government and outside government quite try and is what we are calling the World Cafes, and it will be from some of the government and on this challenge that we have around inequalities and marginalization. So some of them will be, research areas that some of the organizations are focusing on, and some of them will be very directly linked to work with communities. Then lastly, we will have a panel that will draw a lot from the lessons that we'll have picked from that World Cafe, and also from the presentations that will be done by Commissioner Fauzia and Mokeira. And that panel will then be to bring together and see where are we, what's working, what's not working so well, why is it that some things are working, why is it that some things are not working, marginalization, and then we give ourselves a challenge. Because at the end of the day, we want next year when we do Equity Week again, we want to come with that challenge. So that's what the program for the day is going to look like. We plan to keep it straight, short, and to the time because it's Friday, and this week traffic has been very interesting in Nairobi, so we want people to be home before the traffic gets very thick. So, as we start, since we are not very many yet, I think it will be useful for us to know who is in the room. I think when you have fewer people, the introductions can take a short time. So I'll just pass the mic around. You'll introduce yourself and the organizations you represent, And then I'll call Dr. Abraham Rugo to pick up from there. I don't know if we have a mic. Can I use this
one? Morning, everyone. My name is Mazik from the Center for Economic Governance.
Frank Yashwai from Katiba Institute. Good morning, I'm Dr. Oshwai from Katiba Institute.
Good morning, my name is Noah Ohana from Institute of Economic Affairs.
Juliet Mena, Uraia Trust.
Good morning, our workers from the Law Institute.
I'm Henry Diamo from the Refugees.
I'm Fatma from Everyone Trust. I'm Evelyn from Everyone Trust.
I'm Kundai from Farm Offer.
Good morning, my name is Norman Monkey, I'm from our process.
My name is Alex Sujano from Kemri Trust.
My name is Jacob Kazungu from Kemri Trust.
Good morning. I'm Ivan Sibet from Center for Enhancing Democracy and Governance, CPG.
Good morning. My name is Anne Mozani from Youth Arts Mentorship Initiative. My name is Hamida Mohammed from Katiba Institute.
Good morning. I'm David Maboga from Katiba Institute.
Good morning, my name is Ben Nyamira from Katiba Institute.
My name is Christine Akini from TISA.
Hi, good morning. My name is Patrick Kamono from Mobile Residents Welfare Association. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Anna from TISA.
Good morning, my name is Abraham from IBT.
Good morning. My name is Good morning. My name is Fred Mandi. Work at that.
Good morning. My name is Mukira Nyagaka with IBT. Morning, I'm Julia Washira, sign language interpreter from Deafgate.
Good morning, colleagues. It's a pleasure for us to be able to gather here. For colleagues who have joined us in Busia and Baringo, of course, you are in dire shock of just how much Nairobi people don't show up on time. In Busia, we had about 100 people. In Baringo, we had about 300 people, all full in the room, just to tell us that maybe we are getting a message that this conversation maybe need just to go regional, forget about this national business. But anyway, as the discussions will flow this day, we'll appreciate why it is critical for us to be able to do this. As I said, I work at the International Budget Partnership in the Kenya office, and our job, as we see it, is largely to spur a deep and meaningful conversation and engagement in matters of public finance. And we do this by ensuring and by working to advance the agenda of transparency, because we believe that transparency is a critical thing. Not just a good thing to do, but a critical input and condition for democracy and for development, because people can only engage as much as they know and they are aware. A second thing we do to work is on questions around accountability. This word has been used, sometimes even misused, but we believe that to the extent that we as citizens can be accountable for our end of responsibilities, but also the duty bearers and those in government can be accountable for their actions, then to that extent, then we share the burden and the cost of the work that we are doing. A third to advance is that agenda of participation. Now, a key is that people need to be involved, people need to participate in their own governance. And therefore, the question around participation, as my colleague will be coming later on to speak to, is that our concern is just that we don't just have participation. You know, if I may use the recently coined word of Bora Uhai. We just don't want Bora participation. You know, we want participation Bora. So we want participation, so just not just participation, but a participation that is good, but more importantly, that is informed. Our concern around participation that is going on is very ad hoc, is very emotional. People come and they champion for what they are suffering with at that particular point. So they may be coming for a meeting on health, but if it has rained and the bridge is not working, they arrive and they say, all we want is a bridge. And therefore it becomes very, very emotional. But it also becomes very self-centered or locality-centered. Police post, every village wants a dispensary of their own, every village wants a school of their own, including recently every county wanted a university of their own. And some of these things, even in just thinking about the economies that come with it, are not, cannot work out in that sense. And therefore we have a lot of disillusionment that is starting to happen, largely because of public participation. And my colleague will speak a bit more on what we are doing to advance. But the last agenda is equity. We believe very strongly so that the only way this country can advance is by ensuring that the way we distribute our resources, human, technical, financial, is equitable. The reason being that we have different needs of different parts of this country, both at the national level, if you think about it, but also at the county level. You know, within the counties, we also have huge disparities. And when you travel this country, we've had the privilege of traversing about 7 or so counties in the last 3 days. And basically started from Busia, then we drove through Kakamega, Bungoma, Trans Nzoia, Uasin Gishu, Elgeyo Marakwet, and down to Baringo, then of course Nakuru, Nyandarua, Kiambu, and then back to Nairobi. And as you travel that journey, which we did by road, you notice a lot of differences in those regions, both in terms of how much it will cost if you were to provide water to each of the residents there, how much it will cost if you were to provide a road network to each of the people there. Basically, different. To focus on that final agenda that I have spoken to on equity. Now, we are concerned that the discussion around equity, while being very central to the new constitutional dispensation now, not only to our constitutional dispensation that we have now, is not given as much emphasis as is needed, both among government officials who should be making decisions within Parliament and Senate, and we hope they will be represented in this meeting today, and in all different spaces among citizens, as you will listen to a clip that we took around from citizens. A good number think equity is Equity Bank, but the truth is that equity is a principle, is a critical principle in our constitution. that it's a value, it's a principle, it's a way that we desire that this country be ran. And therefore, our discussion today will focus on equity, and therefore for the last 4 years, we have advanced the discussion around equity with a clear goal of ensuring that we give a responsibility to ourselves and also to our government officials to ensure that equity becomes a driving force, becomes a central pillar of how we organize our public resources, and not an afterthought, as is happening. For instance, you go to counties, you have what is called ward development funds, which basically is a small tiny portion of the county resources that then is given for wananchi to determine what they want that resource to be used for. But then you have another 80-90% of the resources that are critical. But two other things that continue to worry us is that for the equity agenda to be advanced, there is still quite a lot of work that needs to happen at the intergovernmental space. What do I mean by this? And yet, a lot of the discussions that need to happen, whether you think about the national government providing policy and quality assurance, and then you think about counties making a greater part of the implementation, for instance, in the case of healthcare, the only issues are available are optimally maximized. Because what we are seeing now is a lot of duplication and blame game. So you go to counties, they say, oh, money for healthcare has not been sent. You go to the national government that has conditional grants for healthcare or is pushing the universal health coverage debate now, they say, but counties are responsible for this. So it's not pulling and tagging. We think the intergovernmental relations space is a critical space to engage in. But a second and very, very worrying trend is on budget implementation. Counties, national government approve budgets that don't get implemented. And why do we say this? Just recently, we conducted a study both at national level that was led by the Institute for Public Finance, and at county level that we led at the IBP from 7 counties. And what we came to realize is that about 20% over the last 6-7 years, 20% of county budgets never get implemented. And what gets implemented, there's a lot of diversion of resources that were meant for agriculture, used to pay health workers, money that was meant for roads, used to spend on different other spaces. And therefore, as far as we can advance the equity conversation, but still the resources are not being utilized as they ought to be utilized, then it becomes a futile game. But the second reason that makes us get very concerned about budget implementation is just the level of pending bills. And these are unpaid bills by different levels of government. Some counties have as high as 50 billion. I think the last time we checked, it's around, Nairobi is about 50 billion. What we know, it might be higher. And almost every county has a huge amount of unpaid bills, which basically means that this is money that will have to be charged. Because when you think of pending bills as a debt that needs to be cleared, then it means that future public service provision will be compromised or will be affected for the sake of being able to clear. And you remember even the president has at some point said that all pending bills, even at the national level, which are also running into several billions, happen. Of course, it would be wrong for us not to also mention that also the question of public debt is a worrying trend. The Constitution is very clear that matters of public debt, the government shall make sure that the burden and benefit of public debt is shared equitably across generations. And therefore, the bigger question that we need to ask ourselves, how equitable is that distribution of the benefit and burden? Are we burdening future generations with debts that they will pay that not necessarily brought benefits? What kind of benefits are we accruing from the 5.8, almost going to 6 trillion of debt, 60% of our GDP that now we have accrued in public. Why is this important in an equity discussion? Because colleagues, we can sit here and have all conversations about where we should divide our resources. But if a huge chunk of our national revenue has to be taken by paying debt, then it becomes a reality that the resources we expect to distribute equitably will not even be available for that purpose. And therefore, it's my hope and my desire that this morning, as we gather and as we have this conversation, we will be able to engage with these difficult discussions, because we cannot run away from these kind of conversations. And therefore, it's my joy to invite all of us to participate in this discussion, and as the days will be going along, then we will be able to share. At this particular point, I would like us to watch a clip that we collected views across the country on this equity conversation, after which I will be inviting Commissioner Fauzia Dahir to give us a keynote address, and then thereafter our colleague Mokera will come and share what is it that we have been doing to try and advance meaningful public engagement on matters